everybody. Welcome. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records. Today on Dat Fury Radio, returning guest Sylvie Althoff. We talked to Sylvie last week about her music-related short story, so jump back and listen to that episode if you haven't already. But today, a new question. Welcome, Sylvie.
Hi, good to be here, Howie.
You sing and play banjo in a band called the Twangles.
Yes, I do.
The Twangles is predominantly or entirely a cover band?
Ooh, boy, we're jumping right into it there. That was a question I wanted to talk about.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Let me give the short answer first so you can finish your sentence. We do not play songs that we wrote.
Okay, kind of intriguingly ambiguous answer.
Thanks.
The Twangles...
I intriguingly ambiguous, you know.
Yeah, that's perfect. The Twangles are a queer, dirty blues band that plays spooky swamp party music, according to their Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And my question for you today, and this is why I asked about writing versus covers, my question for you is about selecting material for a cover set.
Sure.
That's something you do and have done a lot of. And so I'm curious both how you do that for your own group, mm-hmm. and also any advice you might have for folks interested in putting together a cover set, where they might start, how they might go about, you know, getting beyond Wonderwall and closing time or whatever.
Sure. Yes, the two genders. Well, yeah, I feel like I really don't want to get too butthurt about this. The Twangles have been around for, I guess, about 5 years now. We started, as so many great things did, during the pandemic. Mid-March 2020, I picked up a used banjo on Craigslist, and then I found myself with a lot of time to practice after that. Before that, I had played with the Twangles is me and my wife, Jen Thomas, who's a cellist and amazing singer, and also an amazing cellist. I should probably say that, too. The two of us had played together.
Jen, don't leave us any angry comments, please.
It's okay. She's not listening. That's fine. We had played before, just the two of us as a duo, or we played with a couple other bands around various places we lived. We played with a short-lived band here in Lawrence called Red Light Special Review, with some very fun musicians, very cool stuff. And we have never really done originals. And I don't know. I found myself getting my little fifis hurt when someone described us as some cover band. And maybe it's... I absolutely know that I need to get out of my head about this because it's not a great look. But to me, there is a difference between a cover and an interpretation or rendition of a song that people know. To me, the term cover means playing a song that's familiar, playing an already existing song in a way as close as possible to the original version of it. The Twangles do a lot of songs from like the 20s, 30s, and 40s. And that was a time when obviously a song would have an originator, would have a writer or someone who first made it famous. But, you know, there would be a song that would be composed by Irving Berlin or whoever, and it would get performed by everybody famous. Everyone would have their own version of that song. And everyone would, you know, all of the major performers would play it live, would have it on their records. And so there wasn't really the sense of they're covering this other person's song. It was, here's this song you like as performed by, you know, Count Basie or whoever. And I kind of like to think that's what we do, especially because none of the songs that we play were arranged for a banjo-cello duo. So there tends to, we need to do some arranging work to prepare these songs to play for our live sets.
Mm-hmm. And you do, so I love that this is already more interesting and productive than I even hoped for, but yes. So I respect the difference you're making between a, air quote, you know, a faithful kind of bar band cover. We're recreating what you know from the radio.
Right.
and the set and multi-set length reinterpretation, reimagining, rearrangement that the Twangles do.
Mm-hmm.
And you do serious rearrangement and reinterpretation beyond just the instrumentation. There's a whole... every conceivable element of arrangement is on the table for your reinterpretations.
While being limited to the fact that we are only two people with two acoustic instruments. But yeah, so just to give any listeners an idea, our sets will be made about half and half of songs from the 20s and 30s, often a lot of half forgotten songs we kind of encounter and want to resurrect because they're fun. And sometimes even like novelties, like here, I'm going to pull up we just played at the Lawrence Arts Center for their Tuesday concert series this last Tuesday. Had a blast. And just looking at our set list there. So we played Shine on Harvest Moon and Nagasaki and Laughing at Life. So these are songs that were a big deal in their day in the 20s or 30s and aren't generally really remembered too much now. And we'll mix that up with Pump Up the Jam by Technotronic or Umbrella by Rihanna. What else do we have on there? Careless Whisper, Straight Up. Those are some big ones that we do. And those are crowd pleasers. Ring My Bell. Love doing that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's we try to keep it a mix of the old stuff and the new old stuff because, Ring My Bell is 50 years old. It is all of the past. But I don't know. The thing, while being we're not a cover band, we would never. At the same time, I'm cover bands are great. People like to hear songs they know. That activates, again, I'm going to talk about neurology in a way that I know nothing about it, but that activates the brain in a way when you hear a familiar song and go, I know this song. That does something, and it's just fun to hear a song even a note-for-note cover. One of my fondest memories of traveling was when we were biking on the California coast. We ended up in Monterey and stopping at this random bar where we were, what was the name of the band? It was Back Bay Betty, I think. And they played a note perfect cover of Magic Man by Heart. And nice. About 45 minutes later, they closed their set with another note perfect cover of Magic Man by Heart. And I loved it both times. I was like, this is the best. This is so much fun. People like to hear stuff they know,
Definitely. We're not doing value here. We're just doing clarity. We're drilling down for clarity. I'm
not defensive. And you shouldn't say that I am, okay?
So how did you and Jen find your way to this pretty unique aesthetic? Did it just kind of emerge as you were bringing material into the duo, or was it kind of intentional to seek out this 20s, 30s, 40s strain that not a lot of people are playing these days?
I feel like the two of us have been really into that kind of music for rather a long time. I remember when I first started getting into music back in college, I liked listening to a lot of the Reinhardt and Grappelli Hot Club de France stuff, the sort of string jazz or gypsy jazz kind of thing. It's just a very fun genre of music. And over the years, we've come across other artists who have done some similar stuff. I would say a major influence for us is the Asylum Street Spankers, this band out of Austin that I don't know if you know, but they are RIP, but they were amazing. We saw them live, 4 or 5 times. They did an incredible show, and they did a mix of originals, sometimes really heartfelt stuff, sometimes kind of silly, goofy songs, and sort of string band or swinging covers of B-52 songs or whatever. There's another band I've only heard one album of theirs called The Lost Fingers. They're French, and they did something called Lost in the 80s that was a much more virtuosic versions of some of the songs and types of songs that we do, that sort of 80s pop thing. But I don't know. It's fun music, and there's we've been getting into more varieties of music from the 20s and 30s. The two of us have been going to the New Orleans trad jazz camp the last couple of years now, and learning a lot of songs from that era that are new to us, and just having a lot of fun making them.
So the Twangles aesthetic grew pretty naturally, it sounds like, out of your listening taste.
Yeah.
You kind of found a corner of your listening taste and grew it.
Yeah, that's a good way to answer that question. Yeah.
And that provides a pathway maybe to someone listening who's thinking about developing or wants to enhance their reinterpretation set. Maybe that's an avenue to think about, is to find some corner of your listening taste that is underrepresented in the scene you find yourself in, and pull that into your reinterpretive set.
I'd say definitely the most important thing is to make sure the song, if you are going to cover, we can call it cover, if you're going to cover a song, make sure it's a song you really like, because that will shine through to the audience. One of the Twangles kind of guidelines is people like to watch people having fun. So we need to look like we're having fun up there. The best way to do that is to try to actually have fun, making music we enjoy. Tying it back to writing from last week, that's the way I've been able to be as relatively productive as I have in terms of writing the last couple of years, is writing stuff that's fun to write and that would be fun to read, or at least I would find fun to read. That's, a kind of authenticity that you can't really fake. We've all been to shows where clearly the band hates playing these stupid songs that they played a million times. They're not having any fun up there. Those tend to be way less fun than the concerts where you see the band having a good time, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think if there's a song that you really like, and you can genuinely have fun playing, that's one to put on your set list, I think, because the audience will have fun with it too.
How do you find, so people, a lot of your audience at any given gig may not be expecting the older stuff, especially, may not know what they're in for. How do you find that translating through the set? Do you kind of see, I'm sure it's different every time, but do you kind of see people start to get it after a few songs, or what happens as you go through the set?
Yeah, I feel like the beginning and end of the set are what we tend to build the most carefully. We usually start with Straight Up or Pump Up the Jam because they're fun, high-energy songs. They're familiar but pretty different. Our versions are pretty different from the originals. And it also kind of primes the audience to expect a certain kind of music. Something that's, of that style, of a kind of trad jazz swing sort of style, but also not too serious. So usually we try to break it up, no more than like one song from the 70s or 80s or newer, no more than one or two of those in a row, because we don't want to give the impression that that's just all we're doing. Yeah, I don't know. It's a hard thing to teach your audience who you are and what to expect from you. But I feel like we're doing it pretty okay based on some of the reception we get playing live.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's important, right? And in a way, it's kind of like the first paragraph of a story or the first scene of a movie, right? You do have to, and I picked this up from the Dirty Star Trek podcast, The Greatest Generation, but you have to teach the audience how to engage with whatever you're doing in a way. And when I say have to, the opening of whatever you're doing is doing that regardless of your intent, so you might as well be intentional about it and make the choices you want to make. So yeah, the first song or two of a set, the first scene of a movie, the first paragraph of a story, there's the text, but there's also the subtext that is communicating to the audience what this experience maybe is going to be like.
Here's how to read this story. Here's how to attend a Twangles show. Yeah.
I'm just it's taken me a second to absorb that because I have not always been as intentional as I'm espousing right now about my own work.
I certainly.
So that's something I could improve on for sure.
Same. I especially when it comes to writing, I really want to get the first couple paragraphs just over and done with, and I do think probably it'd be better for my work if I put more effort into the beginning of a story. Yeah, it's the opening. I mean, I am fortunate enough to have a bandmate who is such a seasoned hardcore professional. Jen is really of the opinion that like the people are here to hear a show. They're not here to listen to us dick around about which song we should play next or talk about whatever's on our mind or whatever. When we're up there, we have a minimum of time to banter or intro a song before it's like, okay, let's go. Let's do the next thing. Don't bore the audience. Just give them what they're here for. And again, I think we've all been to shows where that was not the case, where the band is just kind of off on a tangent or fucking around with something. And I don't know. I've had fun with that sometimes, but I think generally keeping things moving is something good we can do as performers, right?
I tend to agree. I'm just going to pump up Jen for a second right now, but I mean, Jen is incredible at selling a song.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing you were saying about like having fun on stage, Jen is great at communicating doing that for real and also communicating that and making it visible and clear to the audience and bringing people in through that individual enjoyment.
Yeah, I sure think so too.
It's more of a comment than a question.
Sure. I think an inspiration to us all. Like if you're there to perform the song. Don't just like, oh gosh, gee, I guess here's a song or something. Like you got to sell the product. The product sells itself if you meet their needs. And the product in this case being fun music.
Definitely, and well, maybe it's not. I was about to say that's even more important for a cover or reinterpretation set, but I don't know that it is. Maybe it's more important for an original set, right? Where people aren't familiar. You don't have that built-in recognition to light up those neurons in the audience's brain. So maybe for an original set, it's actually even more important to keep things moving and show that enjoyment and plan those transitions and put on a show,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, your opening song of a set needs to definitely convince the audience why they should stick around and also tell them what kind of band you are. I know I really have had the experience of getting really into or falling in love with the major pop crossover hit of a hugely respected band and then getting into their catalog to find none of their stuff really sounds like that. I love Been Caught Stealing, and then I listened to Jane's Addiction's their real music, and I was like, oh, this is a drag. This isn't fun like that song. Which is not to say it's not good, but it was, even if it was a massive pop hit for Jane's Addiction, it was not a very good Jane's Addiction song in that it didn't teach the audience, here's what our band is, right?
Kind of an outlier, yeah. Hey, Pocket.
Yeah, Pocket's breakfast time, lunchtime, whatever.
Cool. Viewers on YouTube got a chance to see Sylvie's cat, delightful cat, Pocket. Aww. So advertisement for the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed over there. Sometimes we do. Sometimes it's a little. Sometimes there's bonus aspects to the pod on YouTube if you care to watch, or obviously play it in the background. That works just as well.
Right.
Well, Sylvie, this has been delightful. Do you have any final thoughts on set building or reinterpretation or performance, musical performance?
I feel like we've said the main thing, said all the important stuff. If you happen to be in Lawrence, Kansas, check out the Twangles. We are on YouTube theoretically, but it's just a couple old things there. But you can follow us on the socials or check out my writing on my website.
Yes, the Twangles, Facebooks and Instagram links in the description, sylviealthoff.com. Also, link in the notes. Sylvie, thank you so much for being on Dat Fury Radio, and open invitation back.
Awesome.
Just gotta think of some good questions, or write a music story.
I'll do my best. Looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
We're looking forward to it too. Take care, everybody.